Good morning, everyone. So, today is our week 44, day 1 in our English Maritime course. So, this is your instructor, Elaine. So, for today, it's still part of our Maritime English for medical emergencies and terminologies. So, in maritime industry, there are what we call the cold and heat exposure that can also be lead to a several specific medical conditions. So the primary medical terms is used for this condition. Like for example, we have here the cold exposure or what we call the cold stress. So we also have some medical terminologies under the cold exposure. So first, we have what we call the hypothermia. So this is occurs when the body core temperature drop below 95 Fahrenheit. So hypothermia when the body temperature drops. So in maritime context, this is particularly a risk with cold water immersions in a man overboard situations. And then we have also what we call the frostbite. So the frostbite, so this is an injury that occurs when the skin and underlying tissues freeze. Also, most often they affecting the extremities like fingers, toes, ears, and the face. So these are the one or the body parts that's really most exposed to the higher level of cold or freezing. And then we have the immersion foot or what we call the trench foot. So this is a non um, freezing injury resulting from a prolonged exposure of the feet to wet and cold conditions. So it can occur even at the temperature as high as 60 Fahrenheit if the feet remain wet. And then another word is what we call the chilblains. So these conditions, it involves the inflammations of a small blood vessel around or after the repeated exposure to the temperature just above the freezing, causing itching, red patches, and also the swelling. So again, under the cold exposure, we have what we call the hypothermia. We also have the frostbite and then the immersion foot or trench foot, and lastly, the chilblains. So this time we have what we call the heat exposure or the heat stress. So, working in a hot and a humid condition, such as on a deck, under the sun, or in hot engine room, it poses a significant health risk as well. So, first is what we call the heat stroke. So, this usually, I know, very common. Um, Medical term, especially if you are under the heat or under the extreme heat exposure. So this is the most severe heat-related illness and a life-threatening medical emergency. So this one, it occurs when the body can no longer regulate its temperature. And the core temperature rises above 104 degrees Fahrenheit or 40 degrees Celsius. So, the symptoms include confusion, slurred speech, seizure, and loss of consciousness. Then another one is we have the heat exhaustion. So this condition, it results from the body losing an excessive water and salt through heavy sweating. So, the symptoms of this, it includes the headache, nausea, dizziness, fatigue, and also heavy sweating. Another term that we have is what we call the heat cramps. So these are the painful muscle cramps and spasm that often in the legs, arms, or abdomen. So this one, it caused by the loss of fluids and electrolytes during the heavy sweating. So it's really not good idea also if you are sweating too much because it can result some heat cramps. Another medical term that we have is what we call the heat rash or the prickly heat. The prickly heat. So this is a skin irritation that caused by sweat not evaporating effectively from the skin and resulting in a cluster or red lumps. So mostly these are looks like more on a rashes on your skin. And then the other word that we have is what we call the heat syncope. So this is a fainting or dizziness that can occur with a prolonged standing or sudden movement in the hot environment. Then another word, lastly, under the heat exposure is what we call the rhabdomyolysis. So this one is a serious condition where the muscle breaks down and leading to a muscle pain and dark urine. So the environmental emergencies are very common at the sea. So you need to report any if there's a patient's skin condition during the hot or dry, pale or clammy. So other words that you can remember as well, I have here some key points. The word hypothermia. So the body temperature is too low. So the patient is shivering, pale, and drowsy. So again, this is where the body temperature go down. And then we have the heat stroke. This is the medical emergency due to overheating. And the patient, you can say that the patient is unconscious and skin is hot and dry. Under the SMCP, clearly state the patient's core temperature. So I have here now the common respiratory emergencies and condition in their medical terms. Because in the maritime industry, the respiratory emergencies, it involve a range of a acute condition that often referred to as a respiratory distress or respiratory failure. We also have some respiratory arrest. So this can result from a general medical conditions, occupational hazards, or diving related incidents. So this one, so these are the primary medical conditions. So first we have what we call the acute respiratory failure. So this is a very life-threatening conditions where the lungs cannot adequate oxygenate the blood or remove the carbon dioxide. And then we also have here pneumonia or as well as the bronchitis. So this is the infection of the lower and upper respiratory that often among the most the frequent conditions. So this is requiring a medical attentions and antibiotics at the sea. We also have here what we call the occupational asthma or reactive airways dysfunction syndromes, or what we call the RADS. So this one is a conditions that caused by exposure to sensitizing agent, vapors, gases, or fumes that can be found in the cargo or cleaning materials. Another word that we have is what we call the chemical pneumonitis. So this is the severe inflammation of the lungs that resulting from inhaling some chemical irritants. And then we have some chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, or what we call the COPD. So this is a progressive disease because it including the emphysema and the chronic bronchitis. So exaggerated by long-term exposed to dust, fume, and other airborne irritants. So this is the long-term exposure. And then we have another term what we call the pulmonary edema. So this one, it is the fluid that accumulation in the lungs. So this one, it can be resolved by a heart failure or a chemical exposure. Another term we have is what we call the pulmonary embolism. So this is the blood clot in the lung artery. So this is the serious and potentially fatal for emergencies. And then we have the pneumothorax, meaning that it is the collapsed lungs. So this one can be caused by a trauma or underlying disease. And lastly, we have what we call the anaphylaxis. So this is the severe, potentially fatal systematic allergic reaction that causes acute airway obstruction and bronchoconstriction. So this is caused by the allergy. So we also have here some specific maritime industry hazards. So first we have the toxic gas exposure. So this is the hazard such as the hydrogen sulfide, ammonia, and then we have also the chlorine that which can be caused by an immediate and severe damage to the respiratory tract. So next is we what we call the VOCs or volatile organic compounds. So this is the vapors from the crude oil, solvent, and other industry or industrial substance that present a constant risk. So this is like the steam. And then we have the particulate inhalation. So the loading and unloading of the dry bulk cargo. So for example, we have the coal, the grain, or the cement that can also lead to the inhalation of the fine dust, potentially causing a chronic conditions like the silicosis or the asbestosis. And then we have another term, what we call the oxygen deficiency atmospheres. So this is the enclosed space on the vessel that may be or may have the oxygen level that below the safe threshold of a 19.5% and requiring the atmosphere supplying respirators and strict safety protocols. And here we have some emergency response and management. So the management of this emergency that often involves the following medical principles and procedures. So we have here the primary survey or what we call the ABCS. So immediate assessment and management of the airway, breathing, and the circulation. So it stands for the ABCs. And then we also have some oxygen therapy. And this is the admission or administration of the supplemental oxygen is primary intervention for the hypoxemia. And we have the medication. So yes, this is the use of bronchodilators. So to open up your lungs. So for bronchoconstrictions and appropriate antibiotics and infections. So most of the bronchodilation or dilators, this is the medicine like a tablet that you can take, and sometimes this is the or a medicine that can be used for inhalation or inhale just to open up your lungs to improve your breathing. Then we have the advanced intervention. So in the severe case of the respiratory failure, advanced life measure or support measures including the mechanical ventilation or even extracorporeal membrane oxygenation not might be considered because through this typically requires a medical evaluation to a specialized center. Still part of the medical emergency is what we call the medical evacuation. So for some critical emergencies that exceed the onboard capacity, the patient requires some urgent evacuation to a hospital or a long-term care facility ashore. We also have here the telemedicine. So, due to isolated nature of the maritime operations, the immediate guidance from the onshore medical professionals via telecommunication is crucial for onboard medical personnel. So, this is usually or often nautical officer with a first aid training. So, in the maritime industries, the cardiac and the circulatory issues are the major causes of the medical emergencies. So, disembarkation and death, they often link to occupational stress and lifestyle factors. So, there are the relevant medical term used in this context. So, the medical evacuation or the key points, shortness of breath is what we call the dyspnea. And then we have the choking or the airway obstruction. And under the SMCP, the patient, you can say that the patient is unable to breathe or the patient's lips are blue. And you can say also that I suspect inhalation of the toxic fumes. We have here also again other some common conditions and events. Because in maritime industry, the cardiac and circulatory issues is the major cause of emergency. As I said earlier, it can be cause the embarkation and death that often leads some occupational stress and lifestyle factors. So first is under our common events is what we call the cardiovascular disease or the CVD. So this is the general term for a conditions that affecting the heart or the blood vessels. So this is often associated with a build-up of a fatty deposits inside the heart artery. So this is the artery as example here. So you can see some blockage. And then we have here the ischemic heart disease, the IHD, and the coronary artery disease, or the CAD. So this is the condition resulting from a reduced blood flow to the heart vessels. So typically due to a narrow artery or narrow coronary arteries. Here, as you can see here in the picture. And then another word, the MI, or what we call the myocardial infarction. So this is the medical term for a heart attack. So which occurs when the blood flows to a part of the heart is completely blocked. So completely blocked, causing the heart muscle damage. So again, myocardial infarction, or what we call the heart attack. And then we have also some cardiac arrest, and then sudden cardiac arrest, or the SCA. So this condition where the heart suddenly stop or unexpectedly stop beating effectively due to an electrical malfunction, or what we call the arrhythmia, that leading to a unconscious and cessation of a normal breathing. We also have here some what we call the heart failure. So this is the chronic condition where the heart muscle is unable to pump blood. So unable to pump blood around the body efficiently. So this is what we call the what causing the heart failure. And then we have hypertension, or what we call the high blood pressure. So this is also very common. Persistently elevated blood pressure, or a primary risk factor to a more severe cardiac events and other conditions. So this is like strokes or some renal failure. Another term that we have is what we call the angina pectoris, or angina pectoris. So this is the medical term for a chest pain or discomfort due to a a heart disease. So this is indicating that the heart muscle is not receiving some enough oxygenated blood. And then we have again the arrhythmia. So the irregular or abnormal heart rhythm. So like this. So which can be a symptoms of the underlying heart disease and potential trigger for a sudden cardiac arrest. So, irregular or abnormal heart rhythm. And lastly is what we call the aneurysm. So this is a sac-like protrusions or a bulb, as you can see here, in the blood vessel or the heart wall. So, caused by a weakening of the tissue. So, it's like a balloon or bump, something in the vessel. So, we have here now the some key risk factors to consider. So, first is what we call the hyperlipidemia or the hypercholesterolemia. So this is the high levels of lipids or what we call the fats or cholesterol in the blood contributing to the antero atherosclerosis. And then we have another one, the obesity and overweight. So this measures by the body mass index or what we call the BMI. So these are significant risk factors that often link to a unhealthy diets and lack of physical activity on board ship. And then we have what we call the diabetes mellitus. So this is the metabolic disorder affecting some blood sugar levels, which is the major contributor to the CVD. So next is we have some management and procedures. So we have the cardiopulmonary resuscitation, or usually as known as the CPR. So this is the emergency procedure used when the heart stops, then often delayed at the sea due to a limited medical professions or professionals. Then we have the AED, or the automated external defibrillator. So this is the portable device used to deliver an electric shock or defibrillation to restore a normal heart rhythm in case of a sudden cardiac arrest. And then we have the telemedicine or telemedical assistance. So the TMAS. So use of a telecommunication technology to provide and a remote medical consultation and advice to ship at the sea. And next is the PEME, or the Pre-Employment Medical Examination. So this is the mandatory health screening for seafarers to detect the underlying conditions and assess the fitness for duty, including the cardiovascular risk factors. So again, the points to remember: heart attack, chest pain, radiating to the arm and jaw. Shocks. So this is caused by a low blood pressure or weak pulse and confusion. Also, under the SMCP, you can say that the patient has a strong chest pain lasting 10 minutes, pulse is weak and rapid, or you can say that I have administered oxygen. So next we have some abdominal or internal issues also. So in the maritime industry, the abdominal and internal issues are referred to using some standard medical terminology. So most commonly categorized as the gastrointestinal disorders or gastrointestinal complaints. So I have some specific medical terms that frequently encountered in the maritime context. So first is what we call the gastrointestinal or GI disorder. So this is the overaching term of the conditions that affective to the digestive tract. And then we have what we call the appendicitis. So this is the inflammation of the appendix that leading cause of emergency and medical evacuations. We also have what we call the hernia. So this is the condition where an internal part of the body pushes through the weakness of the muscle or surrounding tissue wall. So this is often caused by heavy lifting and results in the bowel poking into a groin or stomach area. So the specific types like the inguinal, femoral, umbilical, and hiatus hernias are also specified. And then we have what we call the peptic ulcer. So this is also very known. So this is the sore in the lining of the stomach or duodenum, which can be caused by stress, irregular diet, or Helicobacter pylori infection. So this is the ulcer. So most of these are I know you know those you heard those terms like the appendicitis, the ulcer. So very known gastro internal issues. And then we have some peritonitis. So this is the inflammation of the membrane lining of the abdominal cavity. So this is often a life-threatening emergency that requiring a prompt treatment. And then the next one is what we call the gastroenteritis or infection gastrointestinal illness or the IGI. So this is the inflammation of the stomach and intestine that often due to a food contaminations or viral outbreaks. And then we also have some abdominal muscle spasms or what we call the strain. So this is very common for a physical demanding roles. So usually it called a cramps. And then we have some volvulus. So volvulus is a condition involving in a twisted of the vowel which can lead to a obstruction or cutting of the blood supply. So so in official reports and medical guidelines, so these conditions are addresses under the general headings like the gastrointestinal emergency, awareness on board ships. So seafarers experiencing the symptoms may require a radio medical advice using the specific code or and severe cases like emergency evacuations. So you just have to remember we also have you need to pin the or pain location. Is it the upper right quadrant or the lower left quadrant of your abdomen? Symptoms also the vomiting, diarrhea, abdominal rigidity. And under the SMCP, you can say that the patient is complaining of a severe pain in the lower abdomen. Okay. So psychological emergencies in the maritime industry, it includes the wide range of mental health. So most notably, the suicidal ideation or attempts, the acute anxiety and depressions, post-traumatic disorder or the PTSD, and some other psychotic episodes. So these conditions are often culminations of unique, intense, and prolonged stressors inherent to a seafaring life. So I have here some common psychological emergencies. So first is the suicidal idea or attempts. So, this is a major concern, with the studies reporting that up to 20% of the seafarers have considered the suicide. So, the isolation and the feeling of being trapped on a vessel can make a suicide seem like a viable, albeit tragic, and a solution to the overwhelming problems. And then we have here some acute anxiety and depressions. So, high risk of anxiety and depression disorders is almost 17 to 25% that can escalate into a acute emergency when unmanaged. So, this one, when you're not managed this properly, it will lead into a severe emotional distress and functional impairment. So next is the PTSD. You all know this, the post-traumatic stress disorder. So the seafarers are exposed to a potentially traumatic events such as the severe accident, the piracy, and natural disasters. So these experiences can lead to a PTSD, which is resulting in a flashbacks, hypervigilance, and avoidance behaviors that required a immediate attentions. We also have here some psychotic episodes. So this is the stream cases a prolonged stress and social isolation. So the seafarers may experience a psychotic breakdown, especially if you are like if you feel you're not belong or you're alone and you're homesick for the job. So um this push also of the psychotic episodes of the seafarers. And then substance abuse and addictions. So though this is not an immediate or emergency in the same way, substance abuse is very common as a coping mechanism. So this one can lead to a acute behavioral issues, and it can be also an addiction crisis that poses some serious safety hazard on board. So there you are. So maritime life is very stressful. Use functional language to report a behavior like the patient's throwing objects and refusing cooperate. Never use judgmental language. And then the safety of the crew is very paramount. Clearly state if the patient possesses a threat. So those are some still part of our medical emergencies under the maritime industry. So that's it for today, and we will continue this discussion still until about the emergencies in this maritime industry is very, very broad. So we will keep discussing this until we finish all the terminologies. So again, this is your instructor Elaine for today's topic, and thank you for your listening.